Greetings to humans and non-humans alike. I'm Blake the Fairy, and I am very tired because I already tried to film this like so many times, and I cannot focus, and I keep giving really bad advice about how to control anxiety. Yeah. And my hair is a mess, and I have bad acne, but let's get into this anyways. I'm going to speed through this. I'm not going to go over 10 minutes. So for a little history on me, I developed anxiety when I was about 13 years old. And I didn't discover I had anxiety, though, until I was about 15, because that's when it got really bad. My anxiety manifests itself in many different ways, but I'm not here to talk about me and boo-hoo, I'm so miserable, because frankly, I'm not. To me, I've gotten to the point where to me it is just an illness. It is just something I have to deal with. It's something annoying, but it is an illness, not the end of the world. Even though, ironically, it's an illness that makes me think it's the end of the world sometimes. So here's some tips on how I deal with anxiety. They may or may not work for you. Just heads up, I am not a therapist, nor am I an expert. These are just things that help me. Number 1, self-observation. What I mean by this is look at your behavior and observe that as sort of a passive observer. So, for example, I will sound angry and not feel angry at all. But I only do this around my family. I tell people this, but apparently I only do it around my family. It's weird. But so am I. Therefore, I tell my family to tell me if I sound angry. I also observed that I am a complete weirdo, and I am happiest when I am unapologetically myself. I've also observed that certain things make me happy, like messing around with my hair and making it look cool. So yeah, do self-observation. You will find out things about yourself that you do not understand. How you do this is, no matter what the experience is, take a moment, look back on it, and pinpoint certain things. My mouth words are not working. So that's number 1. Number 2 is exercise. I know people say exercise a lot. So do it. You only need to exercise for about 20 minutes, but you do need to exercise at least 20 minutes. Because that's how long it takes for the endorphins to release in your body. And make sure you exercise hard enough that it gets your heart pumping and your body sweating. Ew. Exercise doesn't have to be going to the gym and doesn't have to be lifting weights or the traditional exercise. You just have to be doing some sort of physical activity enough that, again, gets your heart pumping and your body sweating. Another tip for dealing with anxiety is recognizing that it is, in fact, an illness. The more aware you are that it is just an illness, and yeah, it is just an illness, the better you will feel about having it. One of the worst things about having anxiety is you feel like you're crazy, and you're not crazy. You just have an illness. Another tip for dealing with anxiety is engage yourself in a passion project. Something that makes you happy, that doesn't stress you out, and do it basically anytime you feel anxious. For an example, this is a Blythe doll I'm working on. I like to make things. Here's my thing. It's a mess. This is my kit that I've made. The thing is about passion projects is I have to be engaged with something in order to control my anxiety because I am a very high energy, high intensity person. And I find a lot of people who have anxiety are also high energy, high intensity people. which is one of the reasons why their brains go into a downward spiral when it's not occupied. So instead of letting your brain fill up with all these negative thoughts about how the world is ending, even though it's not, instead, occupy your thoughts with something constructive, not destructive. I don't recommend destroying things to help control anxiety, because that's not going to help either. I highly recommend doing something, making something. Because when you physically make something, at least for me, it might be different for someone else. When I physically make something, like a painting or fairy rings, I made those in the last video, by the way. That's how cool I am. But you get to see the end result. And when you see the end result, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. And it also helps you see progress the more consistently you do it. Just throw yourself into a passion project, and that's pretty much all I have to say on that topic. You're gonna hate me for saying this, especially if you're a teenager. Take breaks from your phone. Just to be clear to parents who are watching this who think that phones cause anxiety, phones do not cause anxiety. But, and parents are going to love me for saying this, they can make anxiety worse. Especially if you're spending too much time on them, and especially if they're inhibiting your sleep, which is another thing you should be working on if you have anxiety. Take breaks from your phone and be careful that you don't rely on it too much for controlling your anxiety. It's okay to watch TV and it's okay to spend time on electronics if you're in the actively anxiety explosion part. I don't know, my words are not working today. But if you feel like physically like really anxious and you can't exercise because you just don't have the energy, it's okay to distract yourself as long as you're not doing it every single time. So yeah, take breaks from your phone, take breaks from social media. This is all very standard stuff, guys. You should already know how to do this. Another thing I recommend for controlling anxiety is, sorry, people are talking. Oh, another thing I recommend for controlling anxiety, and parents, please pay attention to this, is get a pet. I've heard a million excuses, people saying why they can't get a pet. I'm allergic to pets, or I'm allergic to these animals, or my parents won't let me get one. Parents, if you're watching this, get your child a pet. It doesn't have to be a very elaborate pet. It doesn't have to be a dog or something that takes a lot of care. Just get them something. Something that they can talk to without being judged. Something that they can be around and just smile at. Pets have been proven so many times to help control anxiety. You can look it up literally anywhere. They control anxiety. So if you can get a pet, get a pet. I don't care if you're allergic. There are hypoallergenic pets out there. So yeah, this is probably going to be one of my worst videos. Next time I'm going to talk about something a bit more fun. My next video idea, though I can't promise I'm going to be doing this, is going to be weird things I do, because that's fun. And yeah, just so you know, anxiety is not your fault. Again, it is just an illness. And it's an illness that you can't always control, but you can't control whether or not you have it, but you can control how you react to it. And there's power in that. I cannot control whether or not I have anxiety, but I can control how I deal with the anxiety. And that's the coolest part. So, to my humans and non-humans alike, good luck!